hit it. You are listening to Bras, Panties and Sports. It's week 3 and the drama has already started. I'm Spitface. Please welcome our host, the First Lady of Sports Talk, Cheryl Smith.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Drama last night with the Miami Dolphins. I don't know what's going to happen to the coach, quarterback, and the GM. We shall see. 0-3.
Are you saying that a domino effect may come into play at some point in the season, or after the season? I know Tua is kicking himself, and First Lady, I think Buffalo needs to look at the fact that they can't stop the run. If Miami had a little bit better run game, they might have won that one. So Buffalo Bills have been anointed as they going to the Super Bowl. I don't know if you want to make that bet in Vegas.
That's true, because I'll be honest with you, the Bills could have easily lost that game. Just some bad by the Dolphins. Running into the punter was number 1, and number 2, that interception by Tua. So anyway, they could have won that game.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so, all right. This week on Shout Out, we have performances from Plunky and Oneness, where they find their shining star, get the cold feel of the mute button. First Lady, we're ready. What you saying?
Each week, we try to figure out what is going on in the sports world. Not the plays of the week, more like the players of the week. Are they trying to tell us something? So we ask, what you saying? Fly, little birdie, fly. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. So I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let the spirit carry me. I want to fly right into the future. The little birdies known as the Super Bowl champion Eagles are flying higher than ever after beating their supposed division rival, and then follow that up by vanquish. I can't even speak this morning. The mighty Kansas City Chiefs. Is it too early to say the Eagles are a scary team? Is bully ball back in the NFL? Can anyone stop the tush-push? Patrick Mahomes looked like he was playing in the fourth quarter of the past Super Bowl. Is the KC dynasty over? George Foreman, marvelous Marvin Hagler, both rest in peace. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., and the Steve Miller Band are asking, what you saying? No, Spitface, it's definitely not too early to say the Eagles are a scary team. I mean, of course, they are one of the top teams still in the NFL. Now, do they have weaknesses? Yes, they still have weakness, but they are still a Super Bowl contending team. Now, the Eagles' offense is their strongest unit. I mean, they brought back 10 out of 11 starters are back on the offensive side. So, that offense is still great. They got the best offensive line in the NFL. They are the strongest, and they are the heaviest in the league. So, they're like those big old tree trunks on that O-line, and that's why they can run that tush-push effectively. That's why Saquon Barkley can run. They're good with the run game. So they definitely have that offense. Now, on the flip side, their defense is not what it was last year. Because, Fletcher Cox retired, Hassan Reddick was traded. So they have a lot of young players on their defense, a lot of young players. Their linebackers and defensive tackles are the strong part of their defense, but these young players, they have the youngest defense in the league. So, the Eagles are depending on their young players to come through, but their defense is definitely not as deep as it was last year, Spitface. So that's where you can attack the Eagles defensively. Now, is bully ball back in the NFL? I mean, the majority of the teams, to me, still play a finesse game, but the Eagles play bully ball there because of their big offensive line. They control the trenches because of the fact that they got a lot of girth on that offensive line, that they can play that style of football. And when we talk about the tush push, there's been a lot of controversy about the tush push. We know they tried to get rid of it. The owners didn't want to do the vote to get rid of it. They tabled it. But what's happening with the tush push against the Kansas City Chiefs, it seemed to me that the referees are not officiating the tush push correctly. Many felt that the Eagles had several false starts that were not called with the tush push. So I'm going to tell you something. The owners are definitely going to bring the tush push up again at their next conference for the next season. And I believe, Spitface, that the tush push is going to be eliminated. I really, really, really believe this time around it's going to be eliminated. And the reason why it's going to be eliminated because the referees cannot officiate that tush push correctly. That was some of the reason why they allowed the tush push, was because of the fact that the referee says that they couldn't determine who was pushing each other, because, at one point you couldn't push at a player, and that was part of the rules, and that's why the tush push was never allowed. But when they got rid of that rule because they said they couldn't be officiated properly, that's the reason why the tush push came back again. But now I don't think they can properly officiate the tush push, because there were several false starts that they didn't call. I mean, it was obvious that those were false starts. So it's definitely going to come back up again. But, right now the Eagles are the best at running the tush push, and they'll continue to run it until the league tells them that they can't do it anymore. Now, in regard to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, yes, I hate to say it, the dynasty could be over. I mean, let's face it, for the past 2 seasons, the KC offense had looked very pedestrian, with Mahomes becoming a game manager instead of that spectacular quarterback we were in awe of. So far this season, Mahomes is the Chiefs' leading rusher. He's the leading rusher. That sounds great. Yeah, if you're Lamar Jackson and Allen, because that's what they do. They run the football. Patrick Mahomes, he can run, but we don't depend on him running. Josh Allen, he's going to get over 50-something yards every game for running. So will Lamar Jackson, but you don't expect Patrick Mahomes to be your leader rushing. That tells you something is wrong with the KC offense if he's the leading rusher. I mean, this is crazy. It just seems to me that the Chiefs offensive line, for some reason, is another subpar offensive line that they cannot protect Mahomes. They did a better job last year. I don't know why they regressed this year. I'm not sure what happened. Did they lose some of the people on their offensive line? I'm not sure what's going on. But, the Chiefs are 0-2 at this point in time. They do play the Giants on Sunday night, so we can see that they probably will make some changes, and they probably definitely win that game. But the next following 6 games will tell us about where the Chiefs stand, because after that game against the Giants, they play the Ravens, Lions, Commanders, and Bills. These teams these teams that could win 52 games last season. So the Chiefs, their season will be determined within the next 6 weeks, and we will see how they do. But I just don't think that the Chiefs are that team where they used to be, and it seems like the Chargers are on the rise. They're probably going to win the division, even though I'm not going to count the Chiefs out. But they can make it to the playoffs. But it's tough starting 0-2. But they most definitely need to win against the Giants. And the Eagles, well, we'll see with the Eagles. I mean, like I said, with that defensive issues, we'll see if they can continue to run the East and run the NFC. But, Green Bay is coming. That's another team that's going to give the Eagles some, they'll be toe-to-toe with the Eagles. But, we'll see. We'll see. All right, Spitface, what you say about this?
First Lady, boo. The Eagles are a scary team. And part of that is you get the sense, or at least I get the sense with the Eagles, that they have not reached their they're not there yet. They're still working out all the little the nuances, the crinks and and the kinks in what they're doing. So they haven't even got to the top of what they're trying to do, and that's scary because there's a point where I'll put it like this: the receivers will start having the ball thrown their way, and they'll start catching them balls, and the whole offense just opens up. So right now, I go there playing really good ball, but they're not playing the top ball that I say and that's scary. That is scary. They haven't brought their A game, and their B game is whooping butt. So I'm going, and they play bully ball. They beat you down with that old-fashioned run the ball, control the clock, and but they don't look like they're outdated playing bully ball. They look like that. This is the new bully ball, and other teams, mostly the ones who had that top running quarterback and that top running and a solid running back. They're all playing bully ball. The Commanders, the Ravens, the Bills, and so it's like, wake up, NFL. If your team is trying to, emulate the Kansas City Chiefs, well, the dynasty is over. Now, I will say Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, the Patriots did not win every year. They did not win a Super Bowl every year. Some of them Super Bowls took a little time, but they were able to do. So I'm not saying that y'all gonna get 6 Super Bowl rings, but Patrick Mahomes is not Aaron Rodgers. He's got plenty more years left in the tank, and he's nowhere near. I'll say he's been around a while, but he ain't been around that long. So he won some early stuff. So KC fans, but right now teams have caught up to the Kansas City Chiefs, what they're doing. And the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know why. It's like the Chicago Bears. It's like the Texans. You can't buy a line. Y'all can't go out here, big buddy, come on and play the line. Yeah, and you need some big old boys because bully ball is coming, and that's what I'm saying, First Lady. Eagles, scary team. And okay, are we having a tech issue with the First Lady? It looks like we might be having one.
Yes, I'm sorry. There was a technical issue there. I was I was just sitting there talking and having technical problems. But anyway, the Kansas City Chiefs can't play bully ball because they don't have an offensive line like the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they can't protect Patrick Mahomes. That's why he's always running around so much. And that's why he's their leading rusher, because he got to run for his life. So anyway, once they get a good offensive line, and this has been a problem for several years, I don't understand why they can't get some boys on that offensive line. But eventually they will do that, and we'll see. But, you know, I don't know. That dynasty is over. And, yeah, the Eagles still are a scary team, but they can be beaten. Like I said, the Green Bay Packers are coming. All right, Spitface, over to you.
All right, don't all let it come back. I've been here for years, rocking my peers and putting circles in tears, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion, overpowering, over the competition, I'm powering. Wrecking shop when I drop these lyrics that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare, you better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest that all get sliced and diced. Competition, paying the price. I'm gonna knock you out, huh? Mama said knock you out, huh? We are talking about the knockout punch by Baker Mayfield and his Buccaneers. To the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud stayed farther and farther in the back of the pocket. Instead of improving the line, they got worse. They restocked the line with guys who have never started consistently. They didn't go after a Pro Bowler to anchor the line after giving up Larry Tunsil. Does anyone have Tampa Bay on their dark horse list to make it to the big dinner? Leroy Satchel Paige, Walter Buzz Leonard, and James Cool Papa Bell are asking what you saying. First Lady, I am biased. I am a Baker Mayfield fan. He is my kind of quarterback. He's the, throw me on the trash heap of the NFL. And I like a comeback story. I'm a sucker for a comeback story. And I'm going Cleveland Browns. I know y'all sick. Y'all over there, curled up in a field position. Every time the Browns step on the field, you looking at Baker taking his team to the playoffs, winning a division, and where y'all at? In the same place I've been in for 50 years, at the bottom. And now Tampa Bay, I have to say, the coach is doing pretty good in rebuilding that team. And so I'm going to shout out to the coach. The management, seems like, they kind of like, you guys run the team, and tell me what you need. And we happy with Baker. We like Baker. And Baker is showing up and showing out, and he is probably the most underrated game manager, in the NFL. But, Baker got that there's the, I guess what they call the intangibles. And he's him. He's Baker Mayfield. But I put it like this. His team, and maybe this is one of the important things, his line, his team, they will crawl over broken glass for him. And when you got somebody like that on your team, who the teammates go, well, look, for him, we'll crawl over that broken glass, if that's what it takes. And Tampa Bay, they are my dark horse to make it to the big devil, because they will continue to be downplayed and continue to be treated as an aberration because they coming out of the NFC confused South, But I go, Atlanta ain't playing too bad. Folks better start watching out that, the South may rise again. So, and post C.J. Stroud, First Lady. I'm watching that game, and there's the 3-step drop. Then there's the 6-step drop. C.J. dropping 20 steps. He's like, look, y'all can't give me no protection. And I'm going, well, why do these teams, I put it like this: O-lineman, y'all, demand that top dollar, because y'all deserve it. Demand that top dollar, because these teams need, they need to make a deal to get an all-pro lineman or two. That's the kind of, hey, look, you want to make some trades and give up some draft picks? Get that all-pro offensive lineman on your team. First Lady, what you say?
Well, unlike you, I do not have the Buccaneers as a dark horse to make it to the big dinner. I mean, they can make it to to lunch. Now they can make it to lunch, but they can't make it to dinner. Now, the Buccaneers are a good team, but I would not have them as a Super Bowl contender. And let's face it, Spitface, they're in a very, very bad division. Let's face it. Their division consists of the Atlanta Hawks. No, the Atlanta Hawks. Lord, did I say Hawks? I'm in the wrong league. The Atlanta Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, and the New Orleans Saints. That's 4 easy wins against the Panthers and the Saints. 4 wins, because, they play each in their division. They play their teams twice. That's 4 wins against the Panthers and the Saints, and 2 potential tougher wins against the Falcons. So in a season where you are playing 17 games, you already have a chance to have 6 of those games against a weak division. So to me, that's not saying much about a team. They just happen to be in a bad division. So I give the Bucs a chance to win a divisional round game, but I think they have no chance of going to the Super Bowl, especially when you have the Eagles and Green Bay in the conference. I mean, you got to give kudos to Baker Mayfield. He definitely had a resurrection of his career in Tampa. I mean, you got to give him credit, because to be honest with you, he was basically one step for either being out of the league or being a perennial backup quarterback. Because if you remember, that's what happened. He was a backup quarterback in Los Angeles Rams, and he came in, I believe he came in a playoff series and helped them to win that, or was it a playoff game or the end of the season game to help them get into the playoffs. And that's what really catapulted him to becoming the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they definitely haven't looked back since they've gotten him. Like I said, they're a good team, but they are not a championship contender. Now, Houston Texans, they definitely need to try to do something much better for that offensive line, because it's just a shame that C.J. Stroud does not have enough time to throw passes. And like you said, they revamped the offensive line, but they still didn't revamp it to where it's good. I mean, these situations, the Texans always fail to gain positive yards. They don't do it in the first, second down, so they're always in long yardage situation when it comes to that third down, and they just don't give C.J. Stroud enough time to throw the ball. They're just so ineffective with their offensive line that their offense is not what it used to be. I don't know, that year that C.J., his rookie year, it seemed that they did what they needed to do, but I don't know what happened. They just don't seem to do anything to protect C.J. Stroud. And as you said, Spitface, when will these teams learn? When will they learn? And to be honest with you, they should learn from the Cincinnati Bengals, because you see what happens to their quarterback. Their quarterback is injured every other year because the O-line cannot protect him. And, Burrows has had major injuries due to the fact that O-line has not protected him. So, these teams need to, you do need a franchise quarterback. But in addition to having a franchise quarterback, you need a great offensive line. And that's where you need to put your money in that O-line. You got to get the franchise quarterback, get the O-line. Once you got those two things, then you go out and get skilled players. but you can't do nothing without an O-line. Just ask Burrows, ask Mahomes, ask C.J. Stroud. They'll tell you right on that they need protection. So, you know, the thing about the Texans, their defense still keeps them in the game, but, you know, they're also in a very, very weak division. That's one of the reasons why. We'll talk about that later. I give them a chance to make the playoffs, Spitface. But, yeah, the Bucs are what, 2-0? I think they haven't been 2-0 in a long time. And so, yeah, they're riding high on Baker Mayfield, but let's see how things continue with their progression in this season. I just don't see them getting past Green Bay or getting past the Eagles. All right, Spitface, that's all I'm saying.
All right. Remember we said dark horse. We didn't
have a real dark horse. Dark horse.
All right, first man, you have the last
I'll
word.
take the Commanders. I'll take the Commanders over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as my dark horse.
Well, the Commanders ain't no dark horse.
They are.
Shoot, they were in the NFC Championship game last year.
I know, but that was a rookie. That was his rookie year. We'll see what he does in the sophomore year. People fall off with C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, the Commanders ain't no dark horse, you know. They in the mix. They in the mix. Okay, please take us to break.
Stay tuned. Up next, we have a performance from Plunky and Oneness on Shout Out Part 1.
That music flows in from around the globe to get a shout out from the panel. First Lady, I can't wait to hear the music from Plunky and Oneness.
On Shout Out, we feature new independent artists who are looking to find their shining star. If we like what we hear, we'll give the track a shout out. If we don't like it, we hit the mute. On the first part of Shout Out, we are featuring music from Plunky and Oneness out of Richmond and their hit album, Made Through Ritual. All right, DJ, let's hear the title track, Made Through Ritual.
it looks like we might be having a little tech issue with the First Lady. And let's see if we can get...
I'm here. Yeah. That's Plunky and the Oneness group. And, that's pure jazz right there, Spitface. And I like the combination of the saxophone and the rest of the instruments. And I'm going to shout it out. That's instrumental jazz. So shout it out. You hitting the mute, or are you going to shout it out, Spitface?
Well, it was missing lyrics.
It's an instrumental. It wasn't missing lyrics. It's an instrumental.
I just wanted to throw that out there, but I'm giving it a shout out. It was a groovy tune. It was nice. It was a groovy tune, and like you said, it had. In a way, it was nice to not have that, for it to be just straight up instrumental. That was nice. I like that, so I'm shouting now.
Okay. You're talking about where the lyrics are. Okay. On part 2 of Shout Out, we'll be featuring another performance from Plunky and Oneness. And sometimes I wonder where these groups get their names from. All right. It is at the sound of our favorite underwater friend. Is it time for Flip It?
No one you see is smarter than you. And we remember, missing a world of wonder. Lying there under the sea.
All right, it's time for Flip It. The Dolphins and the Bears are both winless after their first 2 weeks. Which team should fans abandon? Defend. Bear fans already know Caleb Williams is a bust, and the defense is hibernating. The Dolphins have enough talent to be competitive in their division. Fish fans, don't abandon them now. First Lady, I'm looking at the Bears, and the Bears, you were mentioning how Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers are playing in the NFC South, which is a weak, discombobulated division, to say the least. Whereas the Bears are playing in the NFC North, which had 3 teams make the playoffs last year. And Caleb, some will say that his first year, even though his first year had, horrible coaching, that what they thought, and this is when they put that label, a transformational player, like Andrew Young. Andrew Luck, like an Andrew Luck. When they put that label on there, maybe expectations way higher than they should have been. But First Lady, the Fish, now they played their third game and lost. But in the loss, you could see that, hey, look, the Patriots, the Jets, it ain't exactly like they running away with the division or anything. So Fish fans, don't kick them to the curb yet. And they did get a break. And I'm going to say it may be a long range break, but they got a break. And the break was they played Buffalo in the not cold part of the season. And when they had to face Buffalo again, the competition may be a little bit better, and they will not be up in cold Buffalo, New York, doing it where they're prone to lose. So, First Lady, the Dolphins have a much better chance to regroup. Bears fans can hibernate with the team.
Okay. Offensively, the Dolphins have the weapons to compete with anyone. I mean, they have a strong passing game when Tua has time to throw the ball. Their receiving core, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Malik Washington, they are just as good as any one receiver core in the league. And let's face it, Miami has a more recent winning history than the Chicago Bears. The Dolphin team is built to compete for a playoff, whereas the Bears, they just try to gain respect, Spitface, and be competitive to turn around their season. Now, the odds makers already have the Bears over and under set very low, and as you kind of indicated, the Bears are in a much, much, much tougher division than the Dolphins, which allow the Dolphins to have a chance to win more games playing against the Jets and the Patriots. Unfortunately for the Bears, they got to play the Lions, Packers, and the Vikings. And that's a tough division. That really is a tough division. I mean, their schedule is so much harder than the Dolphins' schedule, too. The Bears have to play opponents that have a .57.1 winning percentage, compared to the Dolphins' opponents' winning percentage is at .474. So, in general, it just means that it's going to be a tough road for the Bears, but the Dolphins, they got to win. They got pressure to win because the Dolphins coach, quarterback, and GM are all on the hot seat this year. So they are desperately striving to get to the playoffs because their jobs are on the line for this year. So, the Bears, they have some time. This is Ben Johnson's first season with the Bears. And, they're not going to get rid of him after one season. I know that. So he has time to turn it around. He doesn't have to do it this year. They just got to show some progress. Whereas the Dolphins got to get to the playoffs, and they got to win a playoff game. So, unfortunately, the Bears, they definitely will be hibernating with Goldilocks.
You gotta hang it out with Goldilocks. I gotta make sure this ain't protected speech. All right, First Lady, we're gonna flip it. The Bears have a new coach and system. Out the box, they played two teams that made the playoffs last year. Now, Dolphin fans, come on. You have seen this show before. This is wash, rinse, repeat. We don't make it to the playoffs again. So whatever it is that's going to happen with all the talent that they have, is going to be wash, rinse, repeat. No playoffs again for the Miami Dolphins. I'm looking at it, and it's like with the Bears, they already played. They already are getting hit with, I'll say, playoff contenders, and they're not doing very well. But when the expectations drop and the pressure is off, and what there is to work work on your game. Slowly but surely, you end up with a shot. And Minnesota is not going to be as formidable as they were last year. Their starting quarterback, who basically is in his rookie year, was shown to, once he played a good defense, the defense had to act together, he looked like a rookie quarterback, and he got hurt. So, it's going to be a minute before the Vikings get stability on their offense. And they got good tools. So it's no joke, but that gives them an edge. The Dolphins, on the other hand, they facing the same teams who was facing last year, the Patriots and the Jets, and they'll probably come out ahead there. But then when they start reaching having to play against the teams with winning records, they're worse than the Cowboys. They are worse than the Cowboys when it comes to beating teams with winning records. And they're a lot worse. So they will outscore and run around on the non-contenders, and then the contenders, but something's going to happen. So, and what's going to happen is they'll be washing, rinsing, and repeat the previous season. And the Bears, you never know. They're in that never know that, hey, it can be a flick of the switch, and somehow, some way, they sneak on in. But hey, wash, rinse, repeat. First lady, defend. Dolphin fans can defend.
Well, the Miami Dolphins are pretty much a team in disarray where you got a coach, quarterback, and GM that are really all under fire to have a successful season. But so far, they haven't had a successful season. I mean, in game one, the team looked like they had stopped playing for Mike McDaniels. I mean, it was the most embarrassing loss against the Colts. I mean, even though they played well against the Bills last night, the problem, again, Tua looks like he has regressed as an elite quarterback. He's had key interceptions. He had a key interceptions against the Patriots that cost them the game. He had another key interception against the Bills that cost them the game. That stopped them from having scoring drives. I mean, we expect more from the Dolphins than we do the Bears because the Dolphins have more offensive weapons than the Bears. And furthermore, they have an easier schedule, the Dolphins. But the Dolphins team is just so far, it's just really broken right now. The team is very undisciplined. They have careless, costly penalties. That penalty against Steeler running into the punter, that was a terrible, terrible penalty. The team seems to have no respect for the coach. Players, it's been rumored, players are often late to meetings, and they just do not have respect for the team rules. All of these issues basically have resulted in poor play by the Dolphins. Now, on the other hand, I expect more excitement and better results for the Bears because of the fact they have new leadership with Ben Johnson. Even though the first two games, it hasn't shown that much improvement, especially for Caleb Williams. But trust me, by the end of the season, Ben Johnson will fix Caleb Williams, and he will have significant improvements as a quarterback. So, I think Bears fans have more excitement to come because of the fact that they do have the new leadership and people are excited about Ben Johnson. It's just that, it's a slow process. And Rome wasn't built in a day, and he's going to come in and he's going to propel the Bears, and the Bears are going to make significant improvement, whereas the Dolphins, they're going nowhere fast. They're already 0-3, and it's hard even for an 0-2 team to win. Do you know there's chances of an 0-3 team making it to the playoffs? It is very unfamiliar territory that the Dolphins will make it to the playoffs, but the Bears have a shot of not making it to the playoffs. I just don't think it's going to make, but I think they're going to have a respectable season, and that's all that you want from the Bears right now, to bring some excitement to Chi-Town, and the Bears fans will keep hanging in there, and, the Dolphins fans, man, they're going to abandon the ship. You can see at the next game in Dolphin Stadium, it's not going to be that many people at the game. Matter of fact, when they played the Patriots, they said that their tickets in the lower bowl were going for $50 and in upper bowl was $25. So the team has already abandoned the Dolphins. So anyway, it's just what it is. Miami Dolphins just are not in the glory days like they were back in the 70s. It's just not there. Going nowhere fast. Spitface.
Going nowhere fast. Hey, it's a few seats available up at Tampa Bay. All right, First Lady, over to you for more Flip It.
There were 6 winless teams in the NFL, with KC included on the list. Will any of these teams make the playoffs? Jets, Dolphins, Browns, Texans, Titans, Kansas City. Spitface, defend. None of these teams will make the playoffs.
First Lady, I'm looking at the teams, and all of them have some hope. I'll put it like this. All of them have some hope. And probably the strongest one would be KC, because they have Mahomes and Reed, and, they just, got out of the Super Bowl. So, and they have a knack for winning close games. But right now, and the Dolphins have lost one more game. Right now, the Jets and Dolphins play in the same division. Now, which gives them some hope to end up with fairly decent records. But they are not beating Buffalo. They're not. And they may split with the Patriots and each other. But otherwise, who would they beat? The Browns, Deshaun Watson. That's all I'm going to say. The Browns, Deshaun Watson. The Texans, I think the thing for the Texans is that they really blew it on the O-line. And C.J. Stroud will have some heroics, but the Colts, the Titans, and the Jaguars, to me, have a better shot at getting their act together. And the Titans, even with them getting their act together, only one team out of that division is going to get a playoff berth, and I would roll with the Colts. Now, KC, you've been riding high, but the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders are one of them teams that just spoil you. They one moment they look like the worst team in the world. The next moment they'll beat you. So, KC, you are doing a rebuild, and no one knows. First Lady, none of these teams will make the playoffs. Defend.
All right. Okay. None of them are going to make it because they just not there. But you know what, Spitface? Teams that start 0-2, according to NFL statistics, since the merger in 1970, they have about a 10% chance to making it to the playoff. Only 10% chance. Now, this has been a consistent trend. So even though the Chiefs are on that list, none of these teams, I don't think, are going to make it to the playoffs because it's just so difficult to overcome an 0-2 start to make it to the playoffs because the teams have to win a significant number of remaining games just to be competitive and to have a chance. I mean, let's face it, they need to be near perfect to make it to the playoffs after losing the first 2 games. These teams with 0-2 starts, and they also have a psychological pressure of they're going to be pressing because they know they started 0-2, and to start pressing, that means that there's going to be bad. It's going to have a bad impact on their ability to perform because it's going to be such an extreme uphill battle. This is why, again, they will not make it to the playoffs. I mean, the Jets. The Jets are not going to be there. Their first two games, the first game, they look promising. That second game, they look atrocious. Well, we already know the Dolphins, they don't have a chance because they're already 0-3. Of all these teams, they're already 0-3. The Browns, well, they still got a defense, but who knows what's going on with the offense. That quarterback regime is just Flacco and the rookies, and we already know Deshaun Watson is injured. I'm going to skip over the Texans, go to the Titans. The Titans have a young quarterback. They got a tough schedule to play. Like you said, the Colts are probably going to win that division. So you're down to the two teams, the Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, the Texans, if they don't get that O-line together, they're going nowhere fast either. Now, they got some tough games to go against, but they still have a chance because their defense is still what keeps them in the game. It's just that offense, and C.J. Stroud needs some time to throw the ball. Then you got Kansas City. Now, I'm not going to count Kansas City out, but Kansas City, this is their game against, I think they're playing who are they playing? The Giants. So they better win that game against the Giants. But I'll give them a chance. I'll give them that 10% chance. But I'll be honest with you, Spitface, doesn't look good for neither of these teams to go to the playoffs because it's just an uphill climb to go to the playoffs once you are 0-2. All right, Spitface, let's flip it. There are 2 or 3 teams that can turn things around and be playing in December. Spitface, defend. A couple of these teams will make the playoffs.
First Lady, when I'm looking, the Texans, Titans, and KC, all 3 of them could end up making it into the playoffs. And the Texans, the AFC South is not a settled matter, no matter what the record of the Colts is. And so the Texans are still in there, as well as the Titans. Now, when it comes to KC, it's hard to rule out that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can't come up with something where they end up being the wild card, or perhaps get on a roll and actually end up winning that division. That is one of the toughest divisions there is to play in. So as long as they're able to get off the snag and get back to winning some games, they're going to be formidable, especially toward the end of the season when everything is on the line. And so the Texans, Titans, and KC, they got a shot. They got a shot. That's what I'm saying, First Lady.
Okay, so you got the Titans, KC, and the Texans. Well, I don't got those 3, but I'll tell you the ones I have. I just want to say there's definitely hope for teams that start 0-2, as previously stated. There is a 10% chance of making it to the playoffs. Now, last year, Spitface, 3 teams started 0-2 and made it to the playoffs. The Ravens, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Denver Broncos. And in fact, the Ravens and the Rams won their divisions after starting 0-2. The Broncos received that final wild card slot. So there is hope for the 2 or 3 teams. Now, based on this current list, I would definitely say the Kansas City Chiefs and the Texans are favored to make it to the playoffs. I don't expect the Chiefs to continue to lose games. I mean, the Chiefs plays the Giants this week, which should give them their first win. Then they play the Ravens at home. Now, most people probably going to say that they're going to lose that game to the Ravens. But the Chiefs and the Ravens have played 5 times since Mahomes and Jackson have been quarterbacks for their respective teams. And the Chiefs have won 4 of those 5 games. Remember, it's hard for the Ravens to beat the Chiefs. So the Ravens won in 2021, and they did, I believe, 2024. They didn't play last year. So after the Ravens, they have the Jaguars, the Lions, the Raiders, Commanders, and a rematch with the Bills. So these next games will decide the fate of the Chiefs. Now, the only other team that I have that could make it to the playoffs would be the Texans, because they are in a weak division, the AFC South. And the Texans have won that division 2 consecutive years since C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans have been with the team. So I don't see them changing anything. I expect them to turn it around. They have a winnable game at the Jaguars this week, even though the Jaguars have been playing so-so, but they still got a winnable game. The Jets, the Browns, and the Titans, let's face it, they have difficult upcoming games this week. The Jets play the Buccaneers in Tampa. The Browns play the Packers at home. And the Titans play the Colts. The Colts have looked really good with Daniel Jones. So I just don't see these teams winning. So all these teams are going to be 0-3 after this week. And we already know the Dolphins are already 0-3. So with their loss last night to the Bills. So with those other teams being 0-3 coming up for this week, I only see the Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs having a chance to make it to the playoffs with their 0-2 start. All right, Spitface, please take us to break.
On the other side of the break, we have another performance from Plunky and Oneness on Shout Out Part 2. Please keep your ears glued to the speaker.
Welcome back. The music flows from around the globe to get a shout-out from the crew. Fit for you.
All right. On the second part of shout-out, we are featuring another track from Plunky and Oneness. I can't wait. My little ears is peaked. And let's hear Children of the Drum. I wonder if there's going to be some children or is it going to be just a bunch of drums. Hit it.
Jazz singer Ma Rainey, he said, white folks say the blues come out, but they don't know how it got there. So I present to you this timeline of history and music. We went from drum call to call for freedom, from plucking on banjos to bondage on a ship, from djembes to Django. We are survivors, and here we are crashed like cymbals on the soil of tobacco, cotton, sharecropping fingers. Fingers coarse like their hair, coarse like the lashes on their back, coarse like their pain, harmonized in the key of trauma, or traumatized to the harm of being a minority, looking for the freedom notes, the slave song rebellion mapping north like a Union soldier's bugle singing a Negro spiritual. And the same fingers that have been plucking the necks of blues and folk guitars have been the same fingers plucking tear-soaked ropes from their necks. Who but us could unravel a noose and turn it into an instrument? Go through hell and make gospel. Like fire, shut up in the bones of a burning cross and then baptize themselves in a colored fountain. Who but the Negro could fry up a Jim Crow and feed a nation revolution? To the symphony of the iron hand bigot called America. The pop of gunshots like police batons and snares, snared justice in the teeth of police dogs. Who but colored folk could find rhythm in a riot, make a Motown out of a march, put up a funkified soul fist for freedom, and then when a soul need a break beat, we bass boom crack walls, cracked glass ceilings. Even when crack babies were getting born in a concrete existence, we pump up the volume and the veins who but blacks could use needles to spin back the hands of time and scratch the surface of a broken history. Who, the descendants of slaves, now only slaves to a rhythm, could take centuries full of suffering and make genres full of joy and rising sounds like black notes on a white page, and they want to know how it got there. But we have always taken all the off-key that we have been given to make a resilient medley. And they want to hit the notes. They want to silence the notes. They want to dead the notes. But it is said that you can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. And when you are children of the drum, people can stop the heart, but they can't stop the beat. 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 They can't stop the beat.
All right, that was Children of the Drum. First Lady, what's the verdict? It is getting a shout out on the mute button.
Oh, I have to say, Plunky and the Oneness have some versatility. We go from an instrumental, now we got spoken word. And anytime somebody's going to give me my history about African American, I'm going to shout it out as loud as I can. And you know what? Being that I'm in Florida, I'm quite sure our governor does not like that song, because anytime we talk about African American and history, they're trying to get rid of our history. So I'm shouting it out, Plunky and the Oneness. Definitely shouting that song out.
All right, a shout out. Well, First Lady, I'm shouting it out, and I'm glad that Plunky and Oneness revealed their inner Gil Scott-Heron. So I'm going to put it in that category. I'm going to put it there.
Gil Scott-Heron.
Yeah, their inner Gil Scott. All right, that is the inner shout out. You can check out Plunky and Oneness on the Old Grumpy Radio Network. If you'd like to be heard or have any comments, please send your emails and tracks to talent@oldgrumpyradio.com. First Lady, over to you.
All right, so we've already been in, this is week 3. We've already had 2 picks, and unfortunately, the assistants haven't gotten the stats together. We'll have everything up to date next week. So let's get into the picks for week 3 of the NFL. Winners and losers. Each of these are worth 50,000 points. All right. Texans versus the Jaguars. All right. Spitface, I have the Jaguars. DizzieMac has the Jaguars. And you know what? I just said the Texans needed to win that game. But I got the Jaguars. All right, Spitface, who do you have?
Okay, I'm going with the Texans.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Bengals versus the Vikings. All right. DizzieMac has the Bengals without Joe Burrow. Spitface, who do you have? This is the battle of quarterbacks that we don't know what they'll do. But I'm going to go with the Vikings because they really do have a good defense, and they're at home. Yes, I'm going with the Vikings. Steelers versus the Patriots. Spitface, who do you have?
Okay, I flipped the coin, and it landed Steelers.
Oh, yeah, this is a flip it. Well, I'm going with the Patriots at home. Wasn't impressed with the Steelers last week. All right, Spitface. You have the Steelers. I have the Patriots. DizzieMac has the Steelers. Rams versus the Eagles. I'm flying high with the Eagles. DizzieMac is flying high with the Eagles. Who you flying with, Spitface? The Rams or the Eagles?
Push tush. The push tush.
Oh, the Pushers. Okay, all right. The Twisters. All right. The Eagles. Okay, so we all three with the Eagles. All right, we got the Raiders versus the Commanders. DizzieMac has the Raiders. Fitz, he loves them Raiders. He's a star. I don't care who the Raiders are playing. He's always going to go with the Raiders. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm going with the Commanders at home.
Well, yeah, that's who I was going with, to the Commanders at home. All right, we got the Broncos versus the Chargers. Spitface, who do you have?
Chargers.
Okay, I have the Chargers, and DizzieMac has the Chargers. All right, we got the Cowboys versus the Bears. Oh, my. I have the Bears. DizzieMac has the Bears. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm going with the Bears as well.
Okay, we got the Cardinals versus the 49ers. DizzieMac has the Cardinals. Spitface, who do you have?
The 49ers don't have Brock Purdy playing, but they at home. I'm gonna go with the 49ers.
All right, so Purdy has definitely been ruled out for this game. Okay, I thought he's definitely ruled out.
I thought he was ruled out.
Right.
Maybe he's questionable, but
okay,
everything they were saying speaks like he ain't there.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to go with the 49ers also. All right, Lions versus the Ravens. Should be one of the better games this week. It should be one of the better games. All right. Let's see. Spitface, who do you have?
I like the Lions, but I got to go with the Ravens at home.
All right, I have the Ravens. DizzieMac has the Ravens. Okay, so now we're going to over, under, and push. These are worth 100,000 points. We have Derrick Henry, 90 rushing yards. I have over. DizzieMac has over. Spitface, what do you have?
I'm going with the over.
Okay. Caleb Williams, 3 passing touchdowns. DizzieMac has under. Spitface, what do you have?
I'm going push.
Okay, you're going to go with push. I have under. All right, Geno Smith, 1 interception. Spitface, you have.
Okay, I'm going to go with push.
Okay, I have under. DizzieMac has under. Aaron Rodgers, 3 passing touchdowns. I have under. DizzieMac has over. I guess he thinks that's going to be that bad bet again. And Spitface, what do you have?
I'm going under.
Yeah, I don't know, DizzieMac. All right. Chargers, 150 rushing yards. Spitface, what do you have?
I'm going with over.
Okay, I have over, and DizzieMac has under. So like I said, we'll have these results and the previous 2 weeks' results all next week. Spitface, what is your top story to watch this week?
My top story to watch this week is actually KC, is Kansas City. Will they somehow let the Giants beat them?
Oh, okay. You didn't change your answer there. That was that was my top story too. So I'm gonna go piggyback off of you. Kansas City needs to win that game against the Giants. They got to win the game against the Giants. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. They have to win that game against the Giants. There's no question about it. If they even have a shot of having a winning season. All right, check out our current and previous episodes at PantiesandSports.com. This is Cheryl Smith, the First Lady of Sports Talk and Spitface. You have been listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. See you next week.